Hello, folks. Barb Ashcroft here with Compassion in Action. And I have with me today someone that I think, wow, people need to hear such wisdom. I'm just been finding so many points that resonate with me on this journey. And this is Gail Jones. She is a worthiness coach, a teacher. She's an author. And my goodness, I've got to tell you about her one book. She's the author of several books, but the one book, Cancer as a Love Story, Developing the Mindset for Living. And the second book is To Hell and Back, Healing Your Way Through Transition. And goodness, they just, I'm waiting for my book to arrive so I can devour it, Gail. But so when I first met Gail, I was really amazed with what she does in the area of worthiness and how important that is for us. So I will have a whole pile of notes as far as how you can connect with Gail at the end here. But let me hand it over. I don't want to waste any time on me. Want to get this over to Gail so she can explain and go into maybe some detail of what are some key things that we need to know and learn when we're going through loss or change or just life in these days.
Well, thank you, Bob. I'm delighted to be here with you today. And I love the synergy we have between our work and our passion for helping people through grief and through these times of loss. First of all, I'd like to say that I think a lot of the world is in grief right now. We've lost a way of being and acting and interacting in the world. So just to acknowledge whether you've lost a loved one, a relationship, a job, or just the way of being is really important. In that space of letting go of the old and before the new comes, I call that space for grace, which, by the way, is the name of my next book.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So, but that space for grace is a beautiful time in life to do the work of instilling a greater sense of worthiness. And I want to just say a couple of things about worthiness because it's misperceived a lot in the world. Worthiness is based on who we are, not what we do. And some of the quote unquote most successful people can have the least amount of worthiness because they're looking for external factors to define who they are versus when you know you're worthy, it's based on a sense of being, not doing. You are worthy for who you are. You were born great as a child of God. That's who you are. But you lose that sense of worthiness sometimes through challenging circumstances. Like whenever we up-level our life, we have to often reclaim our worthiness again to be that next bigger version of ourselves. But a lot of us didn't get that sense of worthiness from the first 6 to 7 years of life. And I really want to stress this because we're not here to blame our parents or our grandparents or anybody who parented us or was a caregiver to us. They didn't know how to do it either. And this is the key to worthiness. We need to be seen, heard, validated, and acknowledged for who we are, not what we do.
Wow, that is profound. I mean, how many of us have had it wrong in the past, even?
Right. And you can go to all the seminars, you can read all the books on self-esteem and worthiness, but to really integrate a great sense of worthiness, you have to be lovingly witnessed. And, when I think of coaching, and I've been a coach for 20 years, and I want to tell you how I ended up rebranding my business around worthiness, but I have a lot of tools, techniques, training, certifications. But I think the one thing that heals is that my clients are heard with love and compassion. And even more today, in this fast track world of social media and the cell phone and quick hits, we've lost a sense of presence. And giving someone your undivided attention and that presence is a gift. And it's a very valuable gift. And I think we all need more of that. So I want to go back to how I ended up rebranding. I had a coaching business originally called supportmatters.com. So my business is 20 years old, but in 2012, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I did the conventional route and a lot of alternative healing modalities, which are detailed in my book, Cancer is a Love Story. But one of the first healers I went to, a naturopath doctor, told me that claiming your worthiness to live can extend your longevity.
Wow.
And then in the next month or so, 2 other health professionals told me the same, that a lot of us, whether it's cancer, whether it's divorce, whether it's the death of a loved one, when we're going through a very painful time, we can have a subconscious death wish. We don't know we carry it. And a lot of these healers gave me many examples of people that the tumors went away when they claimed their worthiness to live, but they had to really claim that they wanted to be here. They wanted to be in this world. And that's what I talk about in my book, how to reinvent yourself and create a new life story beyond the trauma drama that might have contributed to the disease. So I thought, well, if claiming worthiness to live can extend your longevity, what else can claim your worthiness do? And then I took a hard look at my life and then the clients that I'd coached all these years. And I realized when most people are stuck, it generally goes back to a lack of worthiness often. So you can go into the next job, the next relationship, but if you carry that worthiness with you, you're going to repeat the pattern, the lack of worthiness with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I created a program, a 6-week program on claiming your worthiness. I've taught it globally, a journey to the heart of worthiness with HeartMath UK coaches, 250 coaches I've trained in this journey to the heart of worthiness. And then I took a hard look at my life and I realized, like a lot of people that look successful on the outside, I was editor of my college paper, award-winning news magazine I created. I was a successful high-tech PR career. I was a high-tech PR exec in a very successful career before I became a coach. On Coach, I've been on national radio, national TV. But before all of that, I realized that I was using externals to define me, like a lot of successful people do, that inside was really a scared little girl who was overcompensating and driving so hard to perform, because that's how I thought I would get validated. And this is a pretty intimate story, but I really believe that part of the reason I got breast cancer is because I had a schizophrenic mom and I was in fight or flight most of my life. So my body just crashed and I had to rewire everything I thought about what it means to be whole and successful from the inside out. So that's very important. And also I became passionate about teaching this worthiness piece so people don't get sick. Dr. Gabor Mate, a famous doctor.
Oh, yes. Love him.
He says he can tell who's going to get cancer based on their childhood. Well, let's heal the childhood now so they don't get cancer. Whether you're 15, 18, 30, 40, you can still heal that childhood. So that's really what I'm really clear about with the worthiness piece. Let's go back right to those first 6-7 years and rewire the brain for worthiness. And the greatest news now is with neuroscience and neuroplasticity, we can do it.
Yay.
This wasn't available 25 years ago, right?
No, wow.
So it's very exciting. So, and if somebody is grieving the loss of a loved one, I know you do a lot of work around that, Barb. Who am I without this other person in my life, right? So painful. And you might have defined yourself a lot through that relationship in healthy ways. But who am I without this person? Let's go right back to, I am worthy to be here without this person as well. And how am I going to rewire and recreate a new story without this person? And I am worthy of happiness again. I am worthy of fulfillment again. It might not feel this right now in the pain of the loss, but I am worthy of it. And I will gain that in time.
Wow. That is so, I mean, you just laser focused on exactly what the people I'm speaking to are sharing. They're all in that place of what's my identity? Right. And so the worthiness piece is so profound with all of this. And Dr. Gabor Mate, my goodness, he's incredible. And what he shares too is that grieving people need a community.
Right.
And they, just like you shared, they need to be seen and heard and experience that love and compassion being extended to them, not just sitting and reading a book, but someone living, breathing, showing up in their life. So how much more important is that we all heal from the inside out so we can be better seers, better hearers, better love extenders, to be able to take that compassion and hand it off to these ones.
And I just want to say a couple of things about lack of worthiness. And again, it's with love and compassion that we look at. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We didn't do anything wrong that we don't have a greater sense of worthiness. We just didn't get the basic nurturance. And again, we can forgive those around us, but we did nothing wrong. So let go of the shame. But this is how unworthiness looks. Some people don't know how it looks. So, and this is very common to women because we've been conditioned to give to others at the expense of ourselves, especially women in the helping professions, nurses and teachers and coaches. And so you tend to be an overgiver when you have a lack of worthiness. And what happens when you're an overgiver is you attract takers. So the relationship will never be balanced. And one of the key things to learn to instill a greater sense of worthiness is learn how to receive. And that can be awkward and painful when you've always been giving. And also when you're the giver, you're kind of in charge, you're kind of controlling it. So you have to let go of control to receive. There's another great book by Harville Hendrix and his wife, Receiving Love. And they were a very famous, they are famous marriage counselors. And then they went through a struggle in their marriage and like, we've helped all these people all over the world. Why are we struggling? And they came up with a thesis that a lot of us know how to give love, but can't receive it. And if you can't give and receive, the circle isn't complete. So it's really important. I would say the number one thing is to learn to receive. The other ways of being in the world unworthy are not letting your light shine, staying invisible, staying safe, not shining your greatness that we were born to be, right? And I mean greatness in the wholeness of who you are. You don't have to be on a stage to be great. Some of us are called to do that, but we can be a great parent. We can be a great friend. We're here to shine our light and not hide it. And another way unworthiness shows up is not being paid our worth and not asking for what we deserve to be paid. So those are just a couple ways unworthiness shows up. But I really, especially young people, I really want them to know, especially when they're looking for relationship, to be careful they don't attract takers.
Wow. Well, I can imagine, and I certainly endorse this 6-week course on, the journey to the heart of worthiness. I think that's, those 90-minute sessions with you are going to be life-changing for folks that take that. And we certainly want to suggest to people, when you're connecting with Gail, do tell them you found her through Compassion in Action, because we have a special gift for you when you do that. So looking
Barb,
forward.
I'm sorry, can I say one more thing on the 6-week pack and the 90-minute sessions? The 90-minute model is something I designed around this program. And I know for all of us that have worked with people, they might relate to this. But what I found is, so my 90-minute 6-session program is pretty accelerated. I go deep fast. It's deep work because in the traditional coaching model of, an hour or whatever, or even in the therapy model, what I have found is you meet with the client, they share what's going on in their life, how you're doing, and then you get to what the issue might be. So it might be 45 minutes in. Right then is when the subconscious is opening up. It's giving us all kinds of information. I'm connecting all kinds of dots between this story, what happened in the past, what's happening now. Why would I say, see you next week? Let's get right in there. And I also use EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique, which they can find out more by emailing me. But that clears the trauma drama pretty quickly, or more in an accelerated manner so that we're opening up to instill the new empowering beliefs around worthiness and the new way of being. But the 90-minute is really important.
Yes, and that makes total sense to me as well, because getting to the heart of the matter, well, isn't it called the heart of worthiness? So,
Yes.
so getting to the heart of how to help is key. And I think that will be well worth anyone that's looking to up level where they're at. And I also, if you just repeat how you shared when you are up leveling, how you also need to, you phrased it so well, sorry to put you on the spot,
Yeah, sure.
About
The
our
worthiness.
worthiness. Yes.
Okay.
How did you say that?
Okay, so when we're up leveling in life, we often have to go back and reclaim our worthiness.
Reclaim, yes.
And
Okay.
because we're going through an upgrade, right? And we're going to a place we've never been when we're upgrading, right? Am I worthy to be there, right? So when I was at this base level, I kind of felt familiar, but this is a little scary, right? And often what happens when we up level is we hit the imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough for this, right? I've never done this, right? I've coached a lot of women recently into executive director positions that were very competent, very well achieved, but when they got to the director level, they felt imposter. So we went through unworthy of being a director and all the blocks to that. And there's another thing that happens when we up level is we have a fear of success often because we're afraid we'll be alone, because we're leaving the model of how people knew us, right? And people will go away when we up level. They will go away. Some of the people, because our up leveling can be threatening subconsciously to them. But what's really important to understand, especially if you're being up leveling because you have a mission and something to deliver that's really important in the world, you don't want to stay small. You have that mission for a reason, but you have to know that new people will come, new people will arrive that are at your level. There's a gap. It's like going up an elevator, you're in between floors, but when you get off that next floor, there's going to be people there for you. So just to realize that that's important. There's a great book called The Big Leap by Gail Hendrix. And he talks about how when we are up leveling, we tend to self-sabotage because it's so scary. It will find a way to not do it, or we'll, belittle ourselves. So claiming your worthiness whenever you're up leveling, upgrading in life is so important. Whether it's your relationships, your friendships, your job. Yeah, it will happen over and over again. Yes.
That is really helpful for so many in the world today, because after 2 years of COVID, there's a lot of people that aren't sure where they're supposed to be, and they will be trying or attempting or with the purpose of up leveling, but realizing that the elevator, the doors are going to open, and there's going to be more individuals to be able to be up there to help
and also
you, escort you.
Just to your point, Barb, that we have been through these intense 2+ years, which has been for many an inner journey. But you can do an intentional inner journey going forward. Like, you don't want to just say, okay, I went through that, it's over. You always want to have an inner space to have that connection with yourself and that worthiness. Don't lose it because you get busy in the world again. Make time to make that connection for yourself, to strengthen that sense of worthiness. I tell people that it's really important to have at least 20 minutes a day of me time. One, to get centered, but another to tell yourself you're a priority. You deserve that time. One thing I definitely recommend. Another thing I recommend on claiming your worthiness, this is in my class, but I'm going to give you a tip today, is to track evidence of being worthy. The physical act of writing down evidence of being treated worthy or knowing you're worthy helps create the new neural pathway in the brain.
Very good. That will make me even happier that I'm doing bookending my days with my gratitude journal and my, which is key to be listing all those things with my pen. Not on the computer, but I have to do it in my book so that I can actually, go back and flip through those pages and just, be in that space. So
Handwriting it is very important.
Wonderful. Well, folks, my goodness, that was, imagine, you got some bonuses here today. So
Well, it's so much fun sharing this information with you, Barb, because I really respect what you're doing with compassion and action and bringing this very important work to the world and helping people be seen, heard, validated, and acknowledged with your beautiful presence as well.
Oh, thank you. Well, we're just so happy to make this connection. And I know there's going to be many more joint things that we're going to find to be able to do down the road and to be able to help that many more people. So thank you, Gail. And folks, I'm going to sign off here and I'll be putting Gail's contact information. So you'll be able to reach out to her and just share compassion in action, and she'll know exactly where you came from. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Barb.